There's a big difference between bringing me a problem and bringing me a problem with a way forward. And how you approach a problem is either what keeps you stuck or what actually moves you forward. Let's be real, anyone can point out what's wrong. This isn't working. This is brassy. This is uneven. This doesn't make sense. This person doesn't do X, Y, and Z. That's basic. What matters is what are you going to do next? This is something I continuously look for when I'm looking at the people in my proximity and people that I want to continue to work with. Someone comes up to me and just says, new hairdressers don't care about learning. They're never on time. These new assistants, apprentices, whatever, they just don't value education the way we used to. Okay. But if someone comes up to me and says, hey, you know what? I noticed that students are struggling with getting to class on time. So I created this schedule so people actually know what the structure of the class is like, and people know that we promptly start at this time so they have an idea of what setup time is. What do you think? That's different. Now we're having a conversation. Now I can respond with, oh, yeah, that's a great idea. Have there been issues with people showing up late? What do you think is causing that? Whatever I decide to say back, it creates room for collaboration. This tells me that you want to build something together. It communicates to me that you didn't just identify a problem, but you cared enough to think through a solution. And that's when we start having really great conversations. And that is something I appreciate because what it tells me is you're not coming to me to fix it for you. You're not coming to me to just complain and stay stuck. You're coming with me to refine or collab or even just bounce an idea. And those are the kind of people I want in my team. And that's the kind of leadership I look for. And no, honestly, every idea is not going to be a yes. I have multiple times where I come up with something and I present it and it's just you know what, that's too complicated for this moment, or it's a no right now, but let's come back to it. That's fine. But every idea isn't going to be a yes. And that's not the point. The point is that you're engaged in solving because you care. And this doesn't just show up in things like, education or leadership. It shows up when a client sits down in your chair. Think about it. It's too warm. It's dry. It's frizzy. It just doesn't feel bright enough. Okay, now what? If your response is, yeah, it is frizzy, you skipped something. Problem solvers ask better questions. Okay, do you feel like it's recently gotten a lot more frizzy, or do you feel like it's always been frizzy? Okay, what kind of shampoo and conditioner are you using? Do you use any additional products? Those questions are you trying to identify maybe why this is happening so that you can properly give a solution. That's how you stop guessing. That's how you build trust with your client. That's how you showcase your expertise. There's a lot of research and performance in business that shows a lot of the same thing, that people who grow the fastest aren't the ones who identify the problems. They're the ones that engage in solving them. They test, they adjust, they take ownership of the outcome. And that ownership and those adjustments actually help build skill. But by sitting and repeating the problem and pointing things out, you're not getting any better. You're just marinating in the problem. By being intentional about how you respond to it, that changes things. I actually learned this through a personal experience. I once worked with an incredibly talented stylist and educator, like someone who had been doing hair for most, if not my entire life. And I started to notice a pattern. There were constant conversations about all of the reasons why we weren't creating a successful curriculum. Now, we taught different things within our same realm. And to be fair, they had some really valid points. And so, to their points, I took action. For example, one of the concerns was they're so scattered, they're bringing all these different models and things that they're not necessarily equipped to take on yet. So I said, okay, great. I'm going to create a very simple model list that like really matches where their level should be in growth and really kind of enforces the foundations. Basically, I tightened it and connected everything. A lot of what I built during that time is actually what I teach now on my TikTok lives every Wednesday from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And it's also literally the building blocks and the core of my upcoming workshops, Anatomy of a Formulation, which breaks down color theory, formulating with color, lightener, and so on and so forth. Those classes will be opening up soon. They are small classes. So if you want in on those, by the way, drop me an email or drop your email down in the comments and I'll add you to the wait list. One thing I noticed about this individual was as time went on, the same problems kept coming up, but they had created no solutions, just built it into the problems. I'll give you an example. This one still makes me laugh. One of the problems they kept presenting was that we didn't have a professional email. So when we were emailing each other or the students back and forth, it didn't look like a united, uniform front. Valid. So I solved it. I created one. We standardized it. We made it usable for the team, and each educator had their matching aligned email address. Do you know how many times it got used in like a 3-year time span? One time. Once. Do you know who sent that email? Me. And then the next problem came because that problem was solved, but it was never really the problem. That's when it clicked. This wasn't about solving problems. This was about avoiding responsibility and projecting it on somebody else. Because people who are committed to growth don't just find problems, they engage with solutions. They'll use them, they'll refine them, they'll take ownership of them. And people who don't, well, they get stuck in observation. So be aware of that in others. But more importantly, be honest about it in yourself. Because finding the problem, that is the easy part. Problems finders are everywhere. But taking action and building a solution, that's what moves you forward. Be the problem solver. That will always build trust. That will always build skill. And that's what helps build really solid careers, whether you're behind the chair or wanting to advance and develop different elements of your career. There's a big difference between bringing a problem and bringing a problem with the way forward. And the way you approach that is either what keeps you stuck or what keeps you moving. Hit share with someone you know has experienced this and comment down below and let me know, are you a problem finder or are you a problem solver? And if you are a problem finder, what actions are you willing to take to move forward and unstuck yourself? And I will see you next time when we have another conversation that's not about a blow dryer.